Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident God of Thunder. On this episode of Thor Talk, Donald Blake returns. Now, he's a New York City police officer who works with Frank Castle, but he has no idea who he really is, and he's not alone. It seems that the whole world has forgotten their past lives and taken on new ones. Let's see how different things really are on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard, and this world is under my protection.
Marvel Knights 20th, number 3, was written by Tini Howard and the legendary Donny Cates, and was published in December of 2018. Over the past few issues of the series, the world has changed dramatically. It seems that just about everyone in the Marvel Universe has been given new lives and forgotten who they really are. And it's not just the heroes who are clueless either, as Bullseye and even the Kingpin find themselves as pawns who do whatever their new master says in the hopes that he will tell them who they really are. Their master is none other than Doctor Doom, who seems to be behind the memory wipe, but none of that has been confirmed yet. Meanwhile, Frank Castle is a cop, seemingly having forgotten his life as the Punisher, but he still has brief flashbacks of remembering his true self. One day, Bruce Banner comes to the police station covered in blood, asking to see Frank Castle. Banner doesn't have memories of how the world really is either, but when he sleeps, someone leaves him notes in a child's handwriting with the names of heroes. Banner goes to Castle to help him track down the people on these notes and find out what is going on. They find Daredevil, who runs away, but eventually he gains some understanding of who he was and starts to see visions of his dead girlfriend Karen Page. Next, Castle tracks down Elektra. The two fight until Daredevil arrives, but he is shocked to realize that they can see Karen Page too, that perhaps she is not just a hallucination, and that is where our story begins. As the three try to work out what is going on with Karen Page, Bruce hulks out and smashes at Page, only to go right through her like she was a ghost. Hulk hits his head in frustration at his confused thoughts, declaring that Hulk smashes, and Punisher punishes. This causes Frank Castle to reflect on the events that have led him to this point. How he would often have dreams of him punishing the guilty. How he is with a woman named Gina, but being with her makes him feel as though he is spitting on someone else's grave. How he sees a skull, and how he sees that same skull on one of Bruce Banner's notes. Castle looks at some of the other notes, recognizing Tony Stark, but then he picks up one that says Thor, with lightning drawn on it. Seeing the Thor note causes Castle to start to doubt Banner, since he doesn't think that the Norse god exists. Banner says to ignore that note then, and to focus on the others to find out what is wrong with the world. Castle goes to Rikers Island to talk to Tony Stark, who is serving a 252-year sentence and later wrote the self-help book called Extremis. But Stark is less than willing to help Castle, since similar experiences are what got him arrested, leaving Castle to come out empty-handed. He and Banner discuss their next move in his car when the police radio alerts them of a fleeing suspect. Officer Castle pursues them on foot, where Officer Donald Blake provides him with backup. Castle tells him to holster his gun, but the overeager Blake fires at the fleeing suspect. Castle confiscates Blake's gun and says that while Blake is just a rookie who dropped out of med school, they can't just go around punishing punk teenagers. Frank goes alone, cutting off the suspect and hitting him with a flashlight. Loki holds his leg in pain, saying that he was trying to lure Blake and not Castle. Castle tells him that he'll get to ride in the back of Blake's cruiser, but Loki says it's a waste of time. He has things to tell what was once his brother's mortal host. Loki tells Castle that he will not be riding anywhere, but he needs to speak to Officer Blake. When Loki reveals that he knows Frank Castle's name, he attempts to taser him, but Loki uses old magics to escape. Loki then goads him into shooting at him, but disappears when he does, as Officer Blake arrives wondering where the perp went. Castle goes home, acting distant towards Gina, and later goes with Banner the next day to look for the next name on the list. They go in search of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, and are greeted by her two sons who take them to her. Wanda doesn't exactly know what's going on, but she's able to sense some of it. She knows that she's not being investigated by the police, and she knows that Castle feels like he's abandoning a family by being with Gina, and she knows that he seeks revenge. She goads him into fighting her sons to better understand himself, which he does. Before they leave, Wanda reveals that a machine may be involved with the way the world has been twisted. Back in the present, Hulk calms down, and they go back to the matter of Karen. Castle says that he believes that she's a ghost who brought them all together. So, Elektra, Daredevil, Frank Castle, and Banner all prepare to go after the next name on the list: T'Challa. So, the Marvel Universe has clearly been altered on a massive scale. Not only does no one remember who they are, but they have memories implanted into them of false lives, much like Donald Blake did all those years ago. Speaking of Blake, he's back, but he looks suspiciously more like Thor than Blake. However, this isn't just an assumed alias given to Thor, as twice Loki refers to him as Thor's host, as opposed to Thor himself. But it's possible that Loki may simply not know everything that's going on. The effects of whatever's happened have clearly taken their toll on him. He was visibly hurt by being struck with a flashlight and had to resort to old once-a-day magics in order to escape handcuffs. Though it would also make sense for Thor to be confined in Blake for this mind-wiping plan to work, as he'd pretty soon figure out that he's ridiculously strong and durable for being a dropout medical student. Given that Dr. Doom seems to be behind this mind-wiping plan, it makes sense as Doom has enough knowledge of magic to possibly trap Thor in Blake's body and weaken Loki, and I'm excited to see which direction this limited series goes in next. Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. If you want to keep up with and support Thor Talk, simply subscribe. Once again, I'd like to formally state that all art and video is owned by its respective companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where...
You'll be holding